Alright, I really should have wrote a script for this, because this is like the billionth take. Okay, so, okay. So fingers, underneath the square and circle button. That's kind of what I use as my measurement of how far apart my nails should be. You can have them slightly closer and that'll work too. The real point that you need to stick to is that your nails are actually pressing the button when you go over. So there's two things that go into that. You have to make sure that your nails are far enough apart, as I said before, so that when your other nail hits when you're going back and forth, the X button still isn't pressed down, because if it's still pressed down by your other nail, you're not going to get another button press out of that. And then the other is making sure that you're pressing down hard enough. The first day I was doing this, basically because of this like bizarre like situation with my hand actually started hurting because and that was only after like 10 minutes. So like I like turned into this instead of like this. So you know, however is comfortable to you, just stick to the points that your fingers should be far enough apart and that you should be pressing down hard enough to actually be getting registration from the game that you're pressing it down each time you move back and forth. Now sometimes in my motion back and forth, I actually go past the X button and come back to it, as you can kind of see here. Probably not that far, I'm kind of just doing it to illustrate what I'm doing. And that still works. At that point, as I said before, points that really matter is that your fingers are far enough apart and that you're pressing down hard enough. It doesn't matter so much that you're going from side to side, like, or if you're doing it really fast like this. If you're doing it really fast like this, I believe you'll probably get a higher mash. That just seems like it makes sense to me. But if you come out here, it really just depends on how fast you're going back and forth at that point, as long as your fingernails are far enough apart and you're pressing down hard enough. And really, at that point, it's just practice to get a feel for how far apart your fingers should be. And really, I practically just press down as hard as I can with my nails, because I got really tired. Like, I found out relatively quickly that that was a main problem of mine, is that I wasn't pressing down hard enough. But as I said before, your aim is also crucial, that you're actually hitting the button at all. So aiming is also part of it. And it's not as complicated as I'm making it sound. I'm not good at these fucking videos. And for me, like, the position of the controller, the way it is now with how I'm doing it, is the best way I found. I tried it like this, I tried it like this, and even though you might hit the analog stick while you're going back and forth, that's fine. It's like, whatever, you get used to it. It's not really hurting your controller. I don't even think this method is really hurting mine, although my fingers, my fingertips, the tip of my nails, that is, did turn black, and I think that was actually from this part of the controller and not the button, the color of it, but I could be wrong. Either way, if you're curious, the X button imprint has not been like wearing away or anything. I'm guessing that's just how the controller is built. I think it's actually, it might actually be like part of the button and not like painted on or whatever with like whatever the fuck they use. I don't know. Either way, there's no deterioration of the button yet, as far as I can tell. And I've been doing this for about an hour and a half. So after that, who fucking knows? Pardon my language. So yeah, and then as far as like holding the controller itself goes, I kind of like wedge it in between My knee is at an angle, so yeah, I'll get straight up to you real quick. Pardon my crotch, and then I kind of angle it, because that's just how like how my motion of back and forth like this feels most comfortable to me to do. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I'll show you some actual mashing here. Alright. Like that one wasn't very good at first, but it's very easy to catch up once you know, your nails are on right. Let me get comfortable here. Get in front of the camera too, that's important. Okay. Ah, that was a shitty one too. .246. Sometimes I use more like the face of my nails instead of the tip, because sometimes that just feels better and works better for me. .244. Sometimes I just look down at my controller to make sure I'm doing it right. As you can tell, I wasn't even moving super fast back and forth. What was really contributing to my mash percentage was my consistency at hitting it back and forth. So that's why I was saying, like, especially with, you know, magic like Burnout, where it's easier to give yourself time to warm up right before the mash. Like, if I were doing a real run right now, I'd be like this. I'd be like, alright, I selected it, and then boom, and I go like this, and I'd start doing this, and then I'd speed up. .254. Don't focus so much on the speed at first when you're just practicing. Just focus on making sure that you're hitting it. And you can tell, because even going this fast, you'll still see it pretty consistently going up if you're actually doing the technique properly. Like, I'll just do it like this. So you can see it's still going up pretty fast, and I am hardly going fast at all. .254.